Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Cantina Corner podcast. As always, we are at max capacity here, so grab yourself a seat and a drink. Enjoy yourself with us as we go into another beautiful episode here, into a new discussion. If you do love the show and you continue to love the show, I would love you if you could show your support. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, hit that follow button, that like button on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Cantina Corner. We would love you for that. As always, I appreciate the continued support from everyone who is back here and a previous listener or video watcher, whichever you are. I love both of you and all of you. One thing I want to get out of the way, we still have that sponsorship with Rep Sports. They are the creators of Raise Energy, as I've talked with before in the beginning of our episodes. They make great products. Raise Energy drink is a great fucking zero energy, or not zero energy, Jesus Christ. All the energy.
Such a great energy drink. It's got zero energy in it.
It's inverted energy. It has 0 calories, 0 sugar, all the energy benefits. There we go.
How did you get there? I was inverted.
It was inverted energy. It's a new wave of energy, but no, they have great energy products. Great for working out. They've got great workout supplements, pre-workout, whey protein, sleep aids, you name it, they have it. They've got some great merch that you can buy as well. And if you use our code Cantina Corner at checkout, that gets you 50% off any order that you make. And all proceeds that we get from that also go into making this show better. So if you can do that for yourself, you get a great product and you get to show support for the show, and we would love you for that. Now that that's out of the way, I want to lovely introduce my co-hosts here as always, Cody and Nick. What's up, boys?
Yeah.
What up?
Yeah, that's what we get.
Dude, you need to take that zero energy, bro. Calm down a little bit.
I like the plug. Nick's already in the game. Where are y'all at? Huh? Where's your zero energy?
I'm snorting this shit.
Oh,
Just kidding. Just kidding.
See, Cody's got Raise Energy on deck. He's going to be pipelining that shit straight into the fucking bloodstream.
That's right.
Disclaimer, it's not intended to be snorted. Please don't snort that.
Thank you. Nick is apparently our lawyer as well, too.
We don't need no bad shit coming back to us.
It's got zero energy. What could go wrong?
But yes, from
Been
a
long
legal
week, dude.
It's been a long week, but from a legal standpoint, please use all of their products safely. I would highly recommend use them safely. But we are going to be getting into a great topic here, kind of a current topic, the COVID-19 epidemic, pandemic, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be talking about more so like the focal point of the vaccines as a whole. There's been some stuff that have changed with the vaccines as far as the 3 that have been out, now currently 2. We're going to get into kind of I don't want to say debate or anything like that or personal opinion, just more facts. We want to discuss kind of what's going on with that. And as always, if you have any comments, feedback, or anything that you want to leave, please leave it in the YouTube comments, Facebook comments. We would love to hear what you think about this. But there has been a lot of changes going on. Obviously, we're 2nd year, going on 3rd year of the pandemic, technically, right, guys?
Second.
Year.
We're going
It's been
on
a
the
long
second.
year.
It's been a long year. Lose track.
You thought it was a long week. It's been a long fucking year.
We're only about facts. We're going on the 3rd year of the pandemic.
I asked the question. I said 2nd or 3rd. Am I right, guys?
He was testing us.
Am
That's
I
what it
right?
was.
Am I right?
Yeah, it was kind of my safety net. I was like, I'm going to spit something, but bail me out, boys.
We've had a lot of Raise energy.
But yeah, there's been a lot that's gone on with this whole scenario, situation, whatever you want to call it, pandemic, fucking everything. But they had 2 vaccines originally, then they had 3. Now they've retracted 1. Now we're back to 2. I mean, how do you guys feel about this whole vaccine process, what they've done, like what they've started coming out with? I mean, like what's your like feel about this whole situation as far as vaccinations go specifically?
Well, I don't want to get too broad into vaccinations, but these ones specifically, I would say obviously always consult your doctor, see if it's the best route for you before going and just taking it. Because, everybody's got different health situations going on.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, you always want to do that. But with it wasn't surprising seeing one get pulled, Johnson & Johnson, considering some of the problems they've had in the past with their baby powder and shampoo.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, Johnson & Johnson's had issues before. They've had, lawsuits with, like you said, their baby products, their powder, all different types of stuff. So, like, I don't want to say I wasn't surprised. Like, obviously this is something that's come out so fast. We've tried to create
Yeah.
something to fix a situation that normally would take a long time. You look at something like cancer and all these other things that we faced for, decades that they still haven't come to a solution with. And then all of a sudden we create this thing that's not technically FDA approved. By law, it's not FDA approved. It's been put public, which we're going to get in conversation with, as well as the fact that you can't sue any of these companies because of them being under the emergency act of what they're providing to try to quell this situation. Which I think those are two big things that people need to know. Like obviously vaccinations, I believe that vaccinations are a good thing, but it's a case to case basis as far as you as a
Mm.
person. It's obviously person to person, case to case. But I don't deny that vaccinations they're not a bad thing. I do not think they're a bad thing. It's just to the individual. Um, but I mean, how do you guys feel about the fact that obviously it's not FDA approved, which I'm not surprised that it's not FDA approved with how fast they had to push this out. That's whatever. I understand that. But the fact that you can't sue these companies for anything that might happen to you, in my personal opinion, and I want to get yours, I feel that the fact that they've covered these companies from being persecuted lawfully and legally from anything happening, I think is a bit too much. It's one thing to let it out and be used in the public, but to not have backlash on on these companies for that, if it causes detrimental problems with you or your family or whoever, I think that's a bit much to cover their ass. Just personally.
I'd agree. It's big pharma kind of getting their way again. They get a fast track to the vaccine, and then yeah, I know I was reading too. The quickest vaccine that was made in U.S. history was like in 4 years back in 1967, and I can't think of the name of the disease that they created the vaccine for in that short amount of time. So this is even shorter than that, which with vaccines and what they do, again, not against all vaccines and whatnot, but just this fast track is kind of, it makes me a little leery about it because you don't know the long term effects. Thus, why the FDA gave them the emergency authorization to do it. Because I think for to get your long term license and all that, it's got to be 6+ months of data for it to get approval and all that. And that's where they kind of right now gave them authorization. Like once they get that data, they'll be able to submit it for actual FDA approval. So
Now, what are your thoughts on this, Cody?
Well, these aren't vaccines, so it's two totally different conversations. But
Okay. Well, hit me. What do
like
you got?
there is literally zero upper respiratory vaccines in the history of the outside of these vaccines that aren't vaccines. There's never been one. And I think the issue we run into as a society is that everybody's so split. Like either you're for it or you're against it, and you're a never vacciner. If you don't want to get this, you're like, oh, you're just a no vacciner, which isn't the
yeah,
case.
you get ostracized.
There is some legitimate concerns with this because it's not a true vaccine. It's really not. It has nothing to do with the actual coronavirus within it. So it's not a vaccine. It's just giving you antibodies. It's got like one form of it. I forget if it's like the sphere or whatever part of it. It's the only thing they've been able to match in it to give you the antibodies, and it just tricks your body into thinking you're sick to keep rapidly producing this, which is why people start feeling bad, because your body literally thinks you're sick, but it doesn't know what the fuck you're sick with. So it just starts attacking shit within your body. Some people, it doesn't. But I mean, and then you got blood clots like the Johnson & Johnson shit.
Yeah.
It's not worth it to me to take this so-called vaccine. It is literally, to me, this is just like a comfort thing. Like, because if it was a real vaccine, by this point, like, we should be opening up as a country. We have something to combat this. We should be opening up if this was a real vaccine, but it's not.
I would agree.
So that's my opinion on it. I mean, I fucking hate this. It's so fucking political. Like, it's a medical really issue. Like, I don't want the government involved with any medical decision I need to make.
Yeah. That's what's really got stupid. Like you mentioned, for people that are like, you voice their concerns about not wanting to take it, they get so ostracized and it turns into a political thing where, oh, you don't want to take it, you're an anti-vaxxer. Like, it's like, no, there's legitimate concerns here that people need to talk about. It shouldn't be it shouldn't people shouldn't be shutting down the conversation on that. If somebody says they don't want to take it, you should want to be like, oh, well, why do you not want to take it? I'm curious to know your stance on it because maybe there's bits of information you didn't know about that might help you in your decision, even if you plan on taking it. Just things to think about.
Yeah.
It really is stupid that it has become so politicized, and it shuts down conversation on it.
And it's not being properly like the information is being withheld about this stuff. I literally this morning at work, there was a older gentleman. We were BSing in the morning, and he was asking if we were going to get our shots because he had just taken his second one. And he was like, I'm happy I didn't get the Johnson & Johnson one with everything going on. And I was like, does that surprise you? And he was like, oh, a little bit. And I was like, well, none of these are FDA approved. I'm like, I don't care which one you took. It's not FDA approved. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, didn't the FDA like allow these out? I'm like, yeah, they gave an emergency authorization. So if anything happens to you after taking it, you assume the risk. You can't, your family can't sue the company. And you just basically just took whatever just to hopefully it helps. He was like, I didn't know that. I was like, yeah, because they don't say it's not FDA approved.
And this is something I'd be curious to know too. Are these people having conversations with their doctors? Because the doctors should be providing them. If they go
No,
into the doctor's office and say, I'm thinking about getting this, I want to know this, and this about it. That's something I would think the doctors have to talk to them about and provide. Should a patient bring that up?
no. Here's my biggest issue. Maybe my second biggest issue, outside of them just like literally not just telling the whole truth with these things, is you can literally go online and schedule to go take a vaccine with whatever place has one. Like we have a place here, Cleveland State University, the Wolstein Center. They literally set it up as a vaccination center. I can sign up online. I don't have to get my doctor's approval. I don't know a single doctor or nurse there. I can just sign up for a time, show up, take this shot, and go. But I mean, you're right. I mean, there's people where the doctor would be like, well, I really don't know if you want to, take that risk with everything. Your immune system might not be ready to handle that many antibodies. I mean, that's a real thing. Like, but you can just literally sign up and go wherever and just get a shot. That's fucked up.
Yeah, that's really weird. Really weird.
Yeah, because not to mention recently, I was at a CVS pharmacy when I was driving my dad to go get his medication that he needed, and they had vaccination two separators or whatever to give people vaccinations that were there, and then I just opened a conversation with a guy who was asking like, "Hey, are you giving vaccinations? How does it work? Blah blah blah." And I was sitting there waiting for my dad to pick up his meds, and the guy was like, "Yeah, like we do give vaccinations. People who are on the waiting list, we will call them and let them know, hey, it's your turn. Like, we have the ability to give it to you. You signed up, blah blah blah." And then if they don't have people that are signed up, people that do have connections with CVS pharmacy, they will just call people and say, "Hey, we've got X amount of extra. Do you want to come and get it?" And those are just employees at like CVS pharmacy.
That's fucked up.
And they're not even like, even if it's the pharmacist, like the pharmacist is one thing. That's pharmacy. That's still not a doctor. Like a pharmacist is not a doctor, which a lot of people misconstrue. It's not the same thing. Just because they're handling drugs and letting you know about the drugs and do that, they're schooled in knowing what to provide you and talk to you about that, but they're not a doctor. So if you've got a worker at CVS pharmacy calling and just saying, "Hey, we've got extra. Do you want to come and get it?" And then you start filling out your card so that you have your card saying you got it. I'm like, that just sounds crazy to me.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
Really weird.
And it is funny too. It's something that, when you point out to like someone who's extremely liberal and very like got to get the vaccine. I know.
Say liberal. I hate the way.
Okay, progressive. I'll say progressive. But they give you the little card or whatever because they were gonna try to do this passport thing, which like we talked in previous podcasts, people start giving so much blowback, and even the government to some point is like, all right, they're not ready for us to do that yet. Like they're always looking to take control, but like literally the amount of pushback they got for them to back down off of that, it just tells me like it's just literally a scare tactic to grab more power. I mean, all these COVID relief bills have nothing to do with COVID, and the whole thing is just completely fucked.
What was it the last one that so many millions were going to? Was it Pakistan for gender studies or something like that? They're going I think it was something like that, which I mean, really was just, funding for CIA programs over in the Middle East or whatnot. But still, like, if this has to do with COVID, what is something like that even doing in there? And I don't get it. I don't
Yeah.
get it. And they're so worried about getting everybody in America vaccinated and wanting to have the resources to do it. Why would we be giving money to other countries when we're worried about our population first?
Yeah. And here's something else I want to see changed. Like the whole Dr. Fauci situation. If we're going to allow a medical expert, dictate how our government's going to handle this stuff, I want them elected.
Yeah.
Dr. Fauci's been a part of the government for fucking forever.
Yeah.
Forever. Shouldn't be. Like it if we're gonna have a medical professional for the government, it should be fucking elected. That's just my opinion.
Not to mention, if they don't have one specific person elected, I've thought about this, and it's great you actually said that. Every time he's up there answering questions and being like the medical expert for this entire situation, I don't want just one person. Like, if we're talking about something that we're foreign to and we're trying to figure out, I want a team of medical doctors. I want like 5 or 6 people at least sitting up there so they can ask one person, then go to the next and go to the next, and then form an opinion off of that as a thing. But we're looking at one man.
Right.
And he's the one guy that's been referenced in everything. And I understand he's probably a very intelligent human being. He knows, like, as far as like being a practicer of medicine and everything like that, I'm not denying. But when it comes to a situation like this, we need a broader view and voice when we have government talking to one person. I don't think it would be great if he was elected, but I think we need more than that. We need more.
I agree.
Especially when we know too, he's already lied once about the whole mask thing, about the mask shortage and all that.
Well, he changes his mind all the time.
Oh yeah.
So they need to save the masks for the medical professionals, but they didn't want to come out and say that to people. They just made up some BS excuse for that, and then come to find out that they lied because they were worried they weren't going to have enough for medical professionals. It's like, if you can't treat us like adults and give us the information out front, and you're going to lie and go around and do this sneaky snake stuff about it, it's like, I'd like a consensus among several different doctors to sit there, brainstorm, talk about it again, get difference of opinion on this from different medical professionals. You can never take one person's word on things. Especially something like this that we've never had to deal with before.
Right. And it's funny, the guy went from no masks to 1 mask to 2 masks to possibly 3 masks down back to 1 mask. Like, this guy doesn't even know like what the fuck to say anymore. And
I don't understand too, like, if you get this vaccine, why do we still have to mask up afterwards? And to me, that kind of raises the question, then how effective really is this vaccine? And do I want to, and now this is my own personal opinion, I've been exposed to COVID. I can't tell you how many goddamn times.
Yeah, a lot. So many times. You have been a lot. I
haven't got it.
I got it.
Nothing. I've been fine every time. So this leads me to believe, like, I don't need the vaccine personally, but I see other people getting it and they still have to mask up afterwards. And it's like, what's the effectiveness of it then? Like, I don't understand. It makes no sense.
And 100%, like what you said, my mother, who I'm currently with until I moved to Wisconsin, I've been living and back and forth with her for the past couple months, helping them with stuff before I move to where I'm going. And she is a ER nurse and directly works and has been working with COVID patients on a constant basis. And I'm not saying that COVID is fake. None of us are saying that that's fake. I just want to preface that. I know we probably should have said that in the beginning, but none of us are debunking that COVID's like a fucking fake thing. Because I know a lot of people, when you start questioning stuff on like how we're going about this, they'll be like, oh, these guys are just, crazy conspiracy theorists thinking that this isn't real. No, it's a real thing. We're just talking about like how we're going about this. I've been around her constantly before she even got her Pfizer vaccine, the 2 doses. Been around her constantly, never had a symptom, whatever. Just like Nick said, like, I was like, I don't think I need it because I've been around someone who directly comes home every day dealing with these people. And I don't mean these people in a negative way, but people who have COVID, and I haven't had any symptoms, no nothing. So I'm like, I don't think I need it personally. And that's just a personal thing. But I mean, the problem I have, what?
No, I'm the same way, but I had it. So I'm definitely not getting it. I already had it.
Yeah. And then, to me, it's me personally. And I know we keep saying personally because want to make this broad spectrum thing. Me personally, I think COVID is more to me like, and I could be wrong later on when this is proved, but it's like a chickenpox type of thing. Like you get it, and if you survive it, which thank God you do, you're good. You know what I mean? Like your system builds the ability to fight that. Like society to do. You know, like the flu back in the day was COVID at one point. It was a detrimental killer until we figured it out, created a flu vaccine. However you feel about the flu vaccine, that's your own personal belief. But we were able to, well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Personal belief, whatever you feel about that, we were able to overcome that where the flu is not like this, like, oh my God, I got the flu. My life is over. Like, I got the flu. I'm miserable. I'll get through this, whatever. I have to take off work, what have you. But I think eventually we'll get that way with COVID. And this is just the next step in history, in my personal belief. But it kills me that, like we said in the beginning, this has become such a political thing where I don't know who to believe anymore. And I'm tired of even trying because you get some people like, oh, Texas, which recently they just, lifted their mask mandate. And
Everything.
then people are like,
100%.
yeah, and people are like, oh, when it spikes, you tell me when it happens, and this is what happens. You know where it originated from. And then you get people who, are on the side who don't believe that, and they're like, oh, well, Texas has the lowest rate since they left skate, and it's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and that's where the politics come involved. And it's like, I don't give a shit who's right or wrong. I just want facts, just pure facts. That's all I care about. Whether it comes from a Republican, a fucking liberal, a fucking third party, I don't give a shit. If it comes from some guy off the street and he can prove it, I just want facts.
I think the way that word liberal is used, and it's like they're not liberals, they're Democrats or progressives. Like liberal people would take all this information and wouldn't ostracize people for wanting to think about the decision before making it.
That's not necessarily true.
I use those terms. I use those terms because that's what's widely used.
I get it.
That's what it's become.
The term is misused too much, and it's like it needs to stop being misused.
Absolutely, all terms are misused. Absolutely.
Like we were talking about Texas, though. So my girlfriend's sisters go and play volleyball, and they went down to Texas. And this won't be brought up in the news or anything like that because they're looking for a narrative and whatnot. But there's still private places that still require masks in there. So even though Texas has opened up 100%, private businesses and stuff have still required masks. Some of the places I know that they went. So even if the numbers spike or drop or whatever, they're not going to actually point out that it's still an individual business's choice making this. You know, they're just going to go with whatever narrative fits.
Which is what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Businesses should have that option.
And I have no problem with that. If you own a private business and that's how you want to conduct yourself, more power to you. Have at it. That's fine. That's your personal right as an American owning your private business. If that's how you want to operate, go ahead. That's fine. But the fact that this becomes so politicized and you get, politicians trying to tell you that you need to take this, so that we can allow things to go back to normal. It's like, no, like there should be a separation factor between medical and political completely, because you can't widely spread what the entire United States need to do when we haven't even figured out our healthcare system yet. And then you're going to force everyone to take something God knows what it's going to do to them. Like, it's so hypocritical.
Well, here's the other thing. Like, where do you go for the truth anymore? Like, Project Veritas just completely exposed CNN again, and where the CNN head producer is literally calling themselves propaganda. Like, he literally is taking credit for getting Biden elected. That should not be the case. Everybody at CNN should be fired. And yes, I agree. The same shit happens at Fox, and they should be fired too. They're owned by the same fucking company, so stop pinning them against each other. Fucking fire them all.
Yeah.
We need to rebuild our fucking news system.
Not even just the news system, but government as a whole. Like, the news system and our politicians stay in office way too fucking long. Yeah. And that's the problem. That's why we keep seeing repetitive things. Every single election, every single year, every single fucking piece of history. It's just repeated. Yeah. I hate to get fucking heated about this, but it just sucks. Like, it sucks. Like, I fight myself on a daily basis to post something on Facebook or whatever social media you can think of. Me personally, Facebook, just talking to whoever wants to listen, just saying, like, think for yourself. Like, do what you think is right for yourself and your family and the people you care about, because at the end of the day, no matter what laws or what things are forced or whatever happens, like that's what you should focus on.
You're just a conspiracy theorist, dude.
Oh,
Yeah, dude, come on.
100%.
That's a term that's thrown around too loosely.
That is too. Yeah.
I think all terms lately have been, because of the previous election that just happened, all terms, racist, anti-masker, anti-vax, like all these different things that you see hashtagged or thrown out there is just so loosely used. None of it means shit anymore.
It started with Trump and Hillary.
Yeah, it did.
If you were Republican, you were racist. If you were with Hillary, that's where the liberal thing really took off.
Yeah.
Libtard. That was the...
And none of this should matter when it comes down to the public health.
Yeah.
Because the public health is the main concern, because that's all that we care about, you know? And, you know, finally, I've been hearing rumors and seeing things online, you know, going with COVID and the vaccines and people struggling, that there's talk. Now, this is very loose talk that I've seen. I haven't dug too much into it after I've seen what I've seen of it. But that we're supposedly supposed to be getting $2,000 a month in aid, like other countries have been getting since this whole situation started. And I don't know if that's actually going to
I have
happen.
a problem with that.
I
Okay.
don't think it's gonna happen. They're just gonna keep giving that money to other countries, but
Here's my problem with that. They're going to
Yeah.
give us $2,000 a month, which is basically our own money. It's basically our tax
is.
dollars. So they're just giving us our money back and then
Yeah.
re-taxing us on our own money. So
Mhm.
they're basically turning into a double dip scheme for themselves.
It's
So-
no better than the lottery.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same type of concept. But to me, it's a scary... I don't even want to get into it. It's a scary correlation to like socialism. Very
Well, yeah.
scary.
it is.
Because then you literally can control like the economic level and stature of people.
No, 100%. And I mean, with these vaccines, I mean, it's scary. And I go back to what I was just saying a minute ago about individual, you know, Johnson and Johnson, like Cody was saying with the blood clot situation. You know, my mother got the Pfizer vaccine. She's a nurse. She got that. She got her 2 doses. She was fine. You know, she had the same symptoms like everybody else, felt shitty after the second one, and then got through it and was fine after like 2 days. And then my dad was like, "Oh, I'm excited to get it." Gets the Johnson and Johnson one, the 1 dose, the first 1 dose vaccine. And we were like, "Okay, cool. You got it. That's great. You know, I'm happy. You know, he's older in his 50s. You know, I was happy about that." And then like a week later, it pulled it from the market because people were getting blood clots and dying. Now, granted, it was only 7 people that they had quoted at that time when we had found out about it. You know, 7 is a very low number.
right.
Still very sad and upsetting, but 7 is a part as the whole population is a big difference. But that's something to be concerned about. And especially if they pull it, knowing that this is not FDA approved, no one can sue, all these different things, for them to pull it, that's a big fucking signal that who knows what's in this. And he ended up going to the ER for it. And I'm not going to go into specifics because of, you know, HIPAA and all those different things that, you know, personal information. But, you know, it was a scary situation, you know, that it was like, oh, I finally got my vaccine. I did what I needed to do to be protected. And then like a couple days to a week later, it was like, nope, this is dangerous. It could kill you. And it's like, well, fuck, it's already in my body,
Yeah.
Yep.
you know? And it's like, what do you do at that point?
I don't know, but I want to point out, I think that's exactly what this vaccine has been turned into. Like I said, I don't think it is a vaccine, but I don't really know what else to call it. A comforting tool, because even
Yeah.
you just said you were happy for him, even though everything you know about it and the way you personally feel about it, you're still happy that he got that so he could feel comfortable
Because of his age.
because of his age.
Yeah.
Even though
And-
you knew there was a risk in taking it.
Yeah, and I only know that because of his prior medical history and stuff, which I'm not going to get into, but that's why I was worried. But it was like one of those things where it's like, well, everyone else has been taking it. My mother took it. She's been okay. So I was like, you know, whatever. You know, I can't make up his decision for him. That's his choice, you know, as
His
a free
body, his
person.
choice.
Yeah, as a free person in the United States.
Yeah.
I'm personally no rush to get it, because if I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it at the tail end when I know that they've got that shit figured out. That's just me personally. You know, I served for our country, and I've taken God knows what fucking drugs that they gave me every single time that they gave us. So that's partly like, joking or not, I'm like, if COVID gets me, well, then I deserve to die because the shit that they pumped into me, I was like, it is what it is. I guess it's my time. I probably already got COVID vaccinated without even knowing it. But yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where you know it could be a situation where you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. We don't know. We have no clue.
Yeah.
This is all a shot in the dark from every level, from the top down. You have no clue. And people that say they have the answer or know the truth, they don't. No one does.
No.
Mm-mm.
No one does. A lot of people don't even know that COVID was a real thing forever. This has been a thing that has been around forever. This
Yeah,
is just a
long
mutated,
time.
crazy variant that came out of nowhere. Like if you look at most household products today, they've had COVID on that list of things that it kills and gets rid of forever.
Oh yeah, it's COVID-19. It's a 19th version of it.
My Lysol spray says coronavirus on the back of it, like that it
Yeah.
bites. So
Exactly. And that was
SARS was a variant of coronavirus. Was that like mid 2000s or whatever when that was
Mhm.
like big? Like I know it was. No, I could be wrong on the H1N1. I thought that might have been a variant of it too, but I don't think that was.
But I honestly, me personally, and I'm not speaking for the whole of, because there's God knows how many videos out there of people talking about this since it happened. But me personally, I've not seen one person talk about this being a thing in society. The way they talk about it is like if it came out of fucking nowhere.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's what bothers me.
I mean, we never really called it coronavirus. Like Nick said, coronavirus itself, up until this point, hasn't been bad. It's like an upper respiratory cold. But there's the SARS and what was it, SARS 2 they called it or whatever. Like
Yeah.
those were serious situations, and now this one's a serious situation. I mean, you handle it. I hate to say this, but you get by it, and I mean, honestly, less people have died from this still than the flu. So
Yeah, and then you get people that argue, well, it was different times, we had different abilities, and it's like it doesn't matter.
yeah,
I think it comes down to almost like what risk are you willing to take too? Are you
exactly.
willing to not take the vaccine and see what happens, or are you willing to roll the dice on the vaccine? You know, what it all depends. And again, it comes down to your health situation too. You talk to your doctor about it. See if your well-being and your health as it is, your immune system and all that can take the vaccine if you even need it. Like, you know, there's a lot of factors that play into it. One thing I do want to see is the fact that they can't be sued for anything over this. And I've seen talks of businesses and whatnot requiring. Now I know this hasn't gone in full scale effect, but there's talks of it, of businesses requiring if you return back to work, you get the vaccine. Now, would that mean that you sign a contract with your work now? If you're requiring me to get this vaccine and say something happens, you're going to pay for all my medical damages since this is basically an experimental type thing at the moment. Like, what's going to go and how's that going to play out? You know, that's another big thing that comes with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what's sketchy about it. You know, I can't speak for the rest of the world as far as like their medical systems or whoever approving these vaccines or whatever you want to call them that they've been given to their public and their countries and the people that reside in wherever it is in the world. But as far as America, if you're going to force people to do that, it's I don't know. It's one of those things where I feel that it should be up to the individual. You can't tell me that there's one point in the world where the flu was so big where it was like you had to have a card saying that you got the flu shot or this and that. Like people talk shit about people who don't get the flu shot or who do, and there's always that back and forth. But there's never a political or government mandate that has been pressed upon people to get the flu shot.
Yeah.
It's just like you do or you don't, and people squabble about it. Like, why is this any different?
Well, no, that's why I said I think the government didn't expect to get as much pushback on the whole vaccine passport thing as they did, because that shit was so unconstitutional. It's not even fucking funny.
Yeah.
It's
They even
not even
talked-
fucking funny.
They even talked an app at one point. I remember watching news stories where they were talking about apps that you can download to prove it so you can even get into
Yeah.
any entertainment venue, whether it was a fucking baseball game, football game, concert, whatever, that you would have to show and scan so that you can even get access.
Yeah.
And again, like if you're not vaccinated and you go somewhere where majority of the people are vaccinated, what harm are you doing to them? So why would it matter if you're not vaccinated and can get in anyways? Like, you know, if there's a bunch of people that are vaccinated, why would I not be allowed in? They're obviously protected from it. What are you worried about me then?
Yeah.
It's just
Exactly.
really weird.
which is why I find it funny that they were telling people that even though you've got the vaccine, you still shouldn't fly, you still shouldn't do this. And now they're talking booster shots, that you may need booster shots, which no fucking surprise to me when it's something that's not FDA approved or anything like that regulated, that, oh, now you might need this and now you might need that. And, it's just, it's going to keep snowballing.
Yep. Now you're like a dog who has to get a booster shot every year, the same time.
Yep. And who knows if it's to prevent that vaccine or whatever you want to call it from causing damage, where you have to keep yourself regulated because God knows what you put in your body. And like I said, I'm not personally saying that these things are bad. We just don't know enough about them to where I personally feel comfortable enough to be behind it. That's just me.
Yeah. I agree with that too. That's exactly how I feel. Is it's your own personal decision. Always talk with your doctor, see if it's best for you. If you don't think you necessarily need it, there should be no worries about not getting it then.
Yep.
You shouldn't be ostracized for not wanting to, and you shouldn't obviously ostracize people who do want to do it. It's a personal fucking choice. Like this is what it comes down to.
Easiest way I'll put it to anyone who is not understanding what we're talking about as far as FDA approval, if you go into any vitamin/supplement shop today in America or online, 95, and that's me saying 95% of what you find in those stores, if you walk into GNC, go online, whatever, if you look at those labels, those bottles, 95% of those products are non-FDA approved. They still allow them to be sold, and you can take them. That's your leisure. As right as an American, you could purchase those things, do whatever you want, and what it says it'll do for you, you can believe. And it may be a complete placebo, but you're allowed as an American to choose to do that. You can take those, but you can also sue those companies if you feel the right to do so, if it doesn't do what you want or has an adverse effect or whatever, because legally you have that right. But it does say on those bottles, non-FDA approved. But for this vaccine, you cannot. So if you put that in contrast, what they allow and what they're not allowing, it puts it into perspective as to like, okay, well, this is non-FDA approved, but I can sue them. Why, if this is non-FDA approved, you're protecting them. How is that any different? I'm putting something into my body that this company says will do said such thing. And then if it doesn't, or if it kills me or causes something wrong, I can attack them, but I can't attack them. How is that any different?
Not to mention that weird ass clip. I don't know if you guys seen on CNN of the lady talking to was it I don't know if it was Chris Cuomo or maybe Don Lemon or whatever.
Yeah, I think it was
And she
Cuomo.
was saying, who was it?
Cuomo, I think.
And she was saying that, our window for vaccinating everybody is closing because these people are going to enjoy their freedoms anyway, so we have to use this as a carrot and stick to get them to be vaccinated. It's like, that's a really weird thing to say on TV.
It's not
like
really
that.
weird, dude. It's fucked up.
She
should have her license pulled.
It's fucked up. It's just like when you see stuff like that too, it's like there's like just things don't add up, and it's like again, it just comes down to your personal opinion. Then, like when you see shit like that, if that makes you leery, then and you want to stay away from it, that's your right.
Yeah. Like I'll ask everyone that's listening or watching, and this is me asking, not Cody or Nick, in case they don't, want to, back that. But if someone told you, hey, stick this in your arm, this is going to fix what I tell you it's going to fix, but you can't come after me for it if it does something wrong, would you fucking do it? If it was just some random guy in the street, why is that any different if someone says, oh, I'm in government, stick this in your arm, put this in your body, but if it doesn't do what I tell you it does, I'm still on the scot-free clear? Would you still feel good? You could be taking heroin. You could be taking fucking straight Drano. You have no idea. And I know that's an extreme to put into perspective for people, but like, you don't know. You have no idea. You didn't see it get made and processed and packaged and put in, and then you're going to just have someone stick it in your arm and you have no fight them. Like, that's what makes me nervous about it. If I was allowed to attack them, okay, the government's given the ability to like, fight back for my livelihood. But if they're not, that is what is the biggest red flag for this entire situation for me personally. Because that tells me that they're just shoving it out and just saying, nope, fuck you. You take this. If you die, you die. If you don't, if you start losing your vision, whatever, I don't care. I just go back to so I can be a politician again and fucking lobby for what I need to lobby for.
That scenario you were talking about made me think of the latest episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier, where the guy's talking about how they're just shoving stuff in them, didn't tell them what they were, and just like he's like, some of us died. They wanted me because the serum worked for me, and they wanted to test them and all that. It's like It's
Dude,
just
that
funny.
scene was based on
That's what it
historical
reminded me of.
fact.
Yeah, yeah,
which
They
is
really
exactly
did that to the Tuskegee Airmen, man.
yeah, and it ain't no different to what's happening in America right now.
Yep. I
The
agree.
the only thing is you have the choice, but you're being peer pressured one way or the other.
Also, Chief Wahoo, bitch.
I don't want to hold up my shirt because Cleveland fans will get pissed.
Why? What do you got?
I thought so.
It's Rizzo though.
I know what it
Rizzo
is. I
fought
was there when
cancer
you
and
got it.
won. What's that?
I was there when you got it.
Yeah, Rizzo's a G. I mean, the dude beat cancer and is a great ball player, so I gotta respect him.
You can't hate it. I don't know him, but I ain't gonna hate on the guy for being a good player and surviving that. Shit, I get it. But yeah, I mean, we could talk about this all day. I mean, you can go into so much shit about it. We just kind of want to cover as far as the whole vaccination or whatever you want to call it, shots and things that have been pumped out or pumped in, if you will, the citizens of this great country. It's scary. It's scary. It's sketchy. Who knows what's going to happen? I hope things turn out great. I hope this doesn't cause problems down for people in the future or different generations, because those are things to consider as well. By putting these different things in your system, it may not do something to you, but it could do something to your children or your children's children. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of stuff with hereditary stuff, with diseases, illnesses, God knows what.
Yeah, that's all this we're saying too. Yeah, it's not to say that we want any of this to happen, but it's just something to think about is long-term effects because we don't know the long-term effects. It's just something that people should think about, really.
Yeah. And I mean, hopefully this all turns out well. All of us here hope that
For
this,
sure.
turns out really well and we can all be safe and go back to normal life. But let us know what you think about this, what you think about if you have taken it, haven't, what opinions are. We'd love to hear it. And then we just hope you all stay safe and get through this safely with your family and loved ones and whoever you have. If it's yourself, I hope you take care. And yeah, that's about it.
Yep.
Peace.
Take care.